Hello everyone. I've been working on a personal Unity project for about 1.5 years now, and I actually finished it, and it's available on Steam. I'm gonna put a link to it in the bio if you want to check it out. But afterwards, I decided to start a new project now, and this time I want to do some things different. My first project was 2D, and this is gonna be 3D. And also this time I want to hopefully make an online game that is to be played with friends, sort of like a friend party game, like I guess Among Us or Fall Guys. And my basic idea was from the old Bomberman game, where there would be boxes and people would try to throw bombs to beat each other. It's sort of gonna be like that, but there's gonna be extra things like building and more complex bombs and power-ups, etc. And I have decided to make these devlog updates, hopefully once a week or at worst once a month. And I decided to share what I've been working on for the first time. And I am mainly going to be talking about three things, which are going to be movement and building and bombs. So I want to start with the movement. Actually, when I first created my map, I had rigid bodies on all these boxes, and my player kept falling down, like it was on ice. And I have found a lot of different solutions online, and what I've come to, think that works best is first of all is to not have a rigid body on your ground, and um, of course you need some drag to stop the player. So right here, let me go to it. On the rigid body, you need some drag, but to stop the player, right? Otherwise you slip. But the problem is when you have drag, that drag is also present in the air. So my point is, if I just turn this off for now, right? And I'm gonna not maximize on play. And if I move my character up, let's say with a drag of 10, he falls really slow. But if I have no drag, they fall faster. And what I've realized is when you have drag in those kind of situations where, in my game, for example, the movement will be very important. I think falling more realistically is also very important because there's going to be a lot of flight in my game, and I want you to be able to guess accurately what's going to happen or how fast you're going to fall, etc. So what I've decided to go with is, if you go to my player controller script here, I decided to basically kind of mimic drag myself. So what I mean by that is I am checking if my velocity is bigger than 0.01 basically, and if so, I am constantly giving the opposite velocity to my current rigid body velocity, but like 1/10 of it. So basically every frame I'm slowing by 10%. And obviously if it's smaller than this, I just set it to 0. This is nice because I only do this if I'm on the ground, right? If I'm on the air, I actually allow you to move with a less speed. So let me show right here. So if you're not in the ground, you move with 10% of your speed. So what that means is if I'm on the air, like if I jump, I can still move my character up, but not as fast. So I can like change directions, maybe also jump in there, etc. And this allows me to have these nice flawless jumps and traveling in the air, and also not slit through and fall when I'm on the ground, because right now as soon as I let my hand go from W, my character is slowly coming to a stop because of that addition. And the other thing I want to add was jumping, and of course you don't want to be able to jump when you're in the air. So I actually got this quick script from a person who made this first person controller, but it's really quite simple. You're just creating a ray that goes downwards from your player, and if it hits a block, that means you're grounded. So what that means is I can jump, but I can't jump again. We can see here actually the ground check script. We can't jump again until we're grounded. And these are quite simple, right? But the next thing I wanted to add was sort of like a crouch in Minecraft, where if you're walking around the corners, like if I just walk down now, I'm gonna fall. But I don't want that to happen if you don't want to. So when you press shift, you crouch, which means you first of all move slower, and you can't go through blocks. Like I'm continuing to press W right now, and I can't walk. And if you get your attention to the corner check script here, it says the positives that is not safe anymore. So if it's not safe and there's no block in front of me, basically that's what it's checking, I can't go through with it. So like I can't fall here, as long as I'm sorry, hitting the shift. I can even like try to move backwards, it doesn't work. So how I did that was I kind of got my ideas from the ground check script, but this time I am basically casting a ray a tiny bit distance in front of me, behind me, on my right, on my left. So this way I am checking all four corners. So for example, if I go to this corner right here, you see that the positive X and the positive Z, I'm sorry, is not safe, which would be these two directions. And then when I press shift now, which I'm crouching, I can go through with them. Of course, I can only crouch when I'm in the ground, so if I'm, you know, jumping, shift doesn't really do anything and I will still fall through. Or if I'm just not pressing shift, I can also still fall through. So now I'm gonna talk about the bombs that I've made. So first of all, we have the simple bomb, which is like, it just travels from where your camera is pointed out towards your cursor, which is in the center of the map, and it explodes on impact. Now the bomb also throws players off, so I'm not sure if you can really see here, but it's a tiny bit, but yeah, you see it also flies you off. So, you know, this is your classic bomb. It has like gonna have a couple second cooldown, but you're gonna be able to use it. Also, by the way, for the destruction effect, I'm also gonna show a video here which I got it from, but the wood destruction effect I made it myself. And then we have the other bomb, which is the big bomb. So you press Q to like put it in front of you, but it's quite similar to the first one, where it just makes a bigger explosion. And one more thing that I want to notice, bombs can actually trigger each other. So like I can put a big bomb and then a small bomb to like trigger the explosion earlier, because otherwise the big bombs explode after, I believe, 3 seconds. But I can make that happen faster. And the final bomb is the launcher, I call it, which doesn't do any damage, but it pushes players and bombs around. So what do I mean by that? So if there's a target ahead that you want to hit, you can put a big bomb and then trigger the launcher to like throw the bomb there, cause it. Similarly, you can also push yourself away with the launcher. For example, if you put it under you, you can like fly with it or like push yourself in any direction. Oops, we're gonna fall. Of course, I mean, there's gonna be a longer cooldown in the actual game, but for testing, I put the cooldowns really short so I can spam it. Or, you know, my favorite is honestly, if there's a bomb coming at you, if there's like a big bomb, you can like kind of throw them away to your target if you like. I know it's kind of hard to aim, but I think that's where the fun is. So yeah, you can throw them around like that. Each bomb has these Boolean checks. Let me show you. So it's like, does it detonate on impact? Does it detonate other bombs? Does it destroy blocks? And then based on those checks, for example, the first bomb does all of these, but the big bomb doesn't detonate on impact. So I can put the block here and it's not gonna explode even though it's touching the ground. It just explodes after some time, or by another bomb. And also the launcher also doesn't get destroyed on impact. It doesn't detonate bombs, and it also doesn't destroy blocks. So it just pushes, you know, its target around. And that's also, you know, quite easy thanks to Unity, because they have this method to a rigid body that you just add an explosion force, where you can, you know, determine how much force you want, where is the explosion from, because the power is going to be different based on distance, the radius of the explosion. And this is my favorite part. This is the, what is it called? It's the upwards modifier, because usually you want the explosions to make the targets go higher. You can modify this. I personally kept it at 0 because I want it to be obvious where you're going to be going when you like place a bomb. Like for example, if you place it in front of you, you should go back, not up and back, you know. Finally, I want to talk about construction. So if you press 2, you go into the build mode, where sort of like the I guess in Minecraft, like you can place blocks based on where other blocks are. And I thought the way the system works is quite neat. First of all, for the hologram, I just got the box and, you know, use the different material, which is the hologram material. I'm also going to link that below if you want to use it yourself. But essentially, this is a game object that is like moving around. The hologram, this one, that just moves around where my pointer is kind of like showing me where the block is going to be placed. And then when I press you know, left mouse click, I place the block. And so I guess the question is like the you know, the actual interesting part is, how do you determine where you're gonna put the block, right? So I get my placement position, which I'm gonna tell you how, but once I have it, I check first of all if there's a block there. If there's a block, you can't put it. But if there's no block and we are in building position, we first get the hologram block, that blue thing, if it's not already there. And if it's already there, we just move it around, right? So the position of it becomes the placement position. And you know, when you press left click, you place your block. And how do we get the position is, I think, the best part. So how my system works is, the blocks are spaced by 1 unit exactly, and their centers are in this position. So I would have a block here, another block here, another block here. Of course, in the real game there is no gap between them, but it's you know, paint drawing, so you gotta bear with me. But the thing is, let's say there's no blocks here, and I am here. Oops. I am here, right? Let's draw my character, and I am casting a ray this way. So what's gonna happen is, first of all, there's two things, right? Where we hit and what we hit. Because the game will know that I'm hitting this block, I can get the center of that block and also know my hit point. And once you hit a block, there's only one question, right? Where of this block am I gonna place my block? Now I know in 3D there's 6 faces and in 2D there's 4, but the idea is exactly the same. So if I am hitting this block, there's 4 positions, here, 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 or here, that I'm actually placing a block. And how do I figure out this? Basically from where I hit. So what I do is I subtract the hit point from the center point, and that gives me a vector, right? A vector that looks like this. And at this point what I do is I thought about, like, what's the difference between if I was to hit from here or here, right? Like, what's the main difference? And what I realized is the largest portion of the vector is always the correct direction. So what do I mean by that? I want to make another drawing to make that more clear. So I'm gonna draw a quick square. So my point is this: if this is okay, this is our center, and let's say we are either hitting from here or we are hitting from here, and it goes like this, it goes like that. So when we subtract those 2 points, this is going to be our vector, right? And so what is going to be the values of this vector? Like, let's say that this distance is 0.5, right? So that means the y component of this vector is going to be 0.5, and the x component is going to be something less because it's not all the way here. Similarly, for this vector, the pink one here, we can draw out these things. The x component is going to be 0.5, and the y component is going to be something less. So I mean, obviously, by the way, in this case, this would be negative because we're going backwards, but, you know, I'm comparing the absolute values. But basically, I can just get the biggest component, and I know that's going to be my direction. So essentially, when we look at here, after I compare the position, I can get my direction vector, and it's similarly how I described. I just compare each component, and I get the largest component, and I just return a vector that's pointing in the largest component, so x, y, or z. So if my block was at 5, 5, 5, and my direction is x, my, you know, resulting vector will be at 6, 5, 5, and then I'm gonna check if there's a block there, and if there is no block there, I can safely, you know, place my new block, and then of course the new position gets updated, right? So that's how the construction part works. And that is basically all my updates. My goal is to eventually add more type of blocks and, you know, be able to change them, and different blocks will behave differently. Maybe some of them will be indestructible, etc. But those will be for another update. But thanks a lot for watching.